My name is Natalie Johnston, and I'm here to share my experience with you. In 2008, I played soccer, indoor and outdoor soccer, and I got hit in the face with a soccer ball. A couple weeks after that, I found out that my vision was starting to get blurry, and I knew what a tree looked like, but I couldn't make out the details of a tree. So I started going to an ophthalmologist up in Placerville area, and they kept on telling me I was fine, you're fine, you're fine. So I decided to start tracking down my blurry vision time, and that came always in the afternoon, after 4 p.m. So I went back to the ophthalmologist with my blurry vision time, and he said, we did a field vision test, we've done everything that needs to be done, you're fine, we don't know what it is. So I went to a different ophthalmologist in the same office, where my mom used to work actually, and she said to me, you have double vision. And I thought, hallelujah, I thought I was starting to lose my mind. I thought I was making up things. So she thought that when I got hit in the face with the soccer ball, because it was on my right side, that it had tore the muscle behind my eye on the left side. So I said, okay, so what do we do? And she said, let's give it 6 months, we'll see if it heals up. So I said, okay. I go back in to the ophthalmologist for my 6-month visit, and she said, it's not getting any better. Well, my insurance had changed, so I had to call my primary care physician, which is a physician here at UC Davis, and I had to explain to her that my ophthalmologist wanted me to have an MRI, and my primary care physician put the order through right away. I got a phone call from radiology to schedule my MRI, and I had that done on a Thursday. So I go in, I have my MRI, and I get a phone call from my primary care physician on Monday, and she said, I want to make sure that nothing else happened to you. You only got hit in the face with a soccer ball? And I said, yes. And she said, well, you have an extremely large brain tumor entangled in your carotid artery and your optic nerve, and it needs to be removed. And I said, okay. I said, well, how big is big? And she said, 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters, which is about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. I said, okay. She said, we're referring you to a neurosurgeon. So I got off the phone with her and called my husband, and as soon as I heard my husband's voice, I started crying. And I was like, I have a brain tumor. So that afternoon, I got a phone call from the the spinal clinic, which was where my neurosurgeon works. And Wednesday afternoon, I had my appointment with Dr. Muzilar, my neurosurgeon. In those 2.5 days of time, I cried. Actually, I didn't cry, I'm sorry. My husband cried. He was, Natalie, what are we going to do? And, he had a lot of questions. And I was like, well, we found out that I have a brain tumor. Let's make a plan. Let's move on. I was fine with it for the most part. I have no control over it. So we go and see Dr. Muzilar, and I had to wait for a little while in his waiting room. I got taken back to the patient room and had to wait for about 45 minutes, which seemed like an eternity. And when he came in, he ended up spending 2.5 hours with us. And I was his only patient at that time in his mind, and that's the way I truly felt. Well, we have 3 options. You can have surgery and have it removed. You can have surgery, have it removed, and radiation if needed, or you can leave it and possibly go blind, have a stroke, a seizure, or die. Well, that wasn't my option. My surgery was scheduled for 7 days later. I really had like 7 days to really prepare for going through a major surgery. So we left the area, we left the office, and I started crying. It kind of hit me. I'm going to be having a brain surgery? Oh my gosh. And my husband was the opposite of me this time, and he was like, it's fine. We have a plan. I feel comfortable with him. Let's move on, So in the meantime, Dr. Muzilar he made us feel very comfortable with what he was going to be, with the surgery that he was going to be performing. I felt really comfortable with that. And so he had said at one point that my nerves might take a little while to fuse back, that my eyelid might be closed for about 3 weeks. That was one thing that I was having a really hard time with. I didn't want to look like a pirate. My son was starting middle school, and I would have to go back to, back to school, and his friends would see me with an eyelid closed. And I remember, thinking, that's not fair to my kids. Dr. Muselaar had said 6 hours, approximately 6 hours for the surgery. He told my family, no news is good news. If you don't hear from me in 6 hours, it's fine. If it's going to be longer, I'll have somebody come out and talk to you guys. So I go into surgery, and my family, a lot of family that I had sitting in the waiting room, waited for over 6 hours, and my husband wouldn't go have lunch because he was waiting to hear how I was doing. And 7 hours came, 8 hours came, 9 hours, 10, 11, 12 and a half hours was my surgery. And the hardest thing for my family was nobody came out to talk to my family. So that was one thing that could have been related a little bit different to my family, but nobody came out to talk to my family. So in the meantime, my husband had me stroked out, seizure, blind, dead, Bell's palsy. He had me every risk and side effect that Dr. Muselaar had told us. He had me within those parameters. After that, my surgery, I went into ICU, and they give you a memory-reducing drug anytime that they do any type of brain surgery on you. And so I don't even really remember my 4 days in my hospital stay. But I do recall a couple little instances. I was in ICU on the end with a big window by me, and my husband was standing there, and a male nurse was standing there. And I kind of came to, and later on I found out that that male nurse had a brain tumor himself. And so my husband had somebody that he could talk to while he was waiting for me to respond, and that he felt comfortable talking to my husband, that the nurse felt comfortable talking to my husband about it. And my husband really had a sense of comfort with that. My discharge nurse had come in, and she said, "How many kids do you have?" And I said, 3. And my daughter looks at me and she's like, "Mom, you only have 2. What are you talking about?" And so it was just, my daughter had to go in and give me a shower with me and stuff. And that was a little bit hard as a mom, you know, having your 13-year-old daughter do that. But at the same time, I was just so thankful that I was alive. I had a follow-up appointment, a couple follow-up appointments with Dr. Muselaar, who was very caring, very concerned, very able to talk to us about it. My husband had questions. He would answer whatever he needed to, and I appreciated that with Dr. Muselaar. Never once have I ever questioned, why did this brain tumor happen to me? Because I don't have time to waste on that. I know that I'm a strong person and that I was given this because I can handle it, and I can share my experience and my testimony with other people. I went in for my annual checkup with Dr. Muselaar after my brain tumor, and I found out that my brain tumor had come back. So I had to wait about 3 weeks, which felt like the longest time of my life, in order to have the doctors meet to find out what my next plan was going to be. I could have had a procedure, a gamma knife procedure, radiation done. I could have had radiation done at the oncology center, or I could have had an ENT go up my nostril and remove it that way. And it came out that I had to do 6.5 weeks of radiation at the spinal clinic, at the radiation oncology clinic with Dr. Fregoso. So I went in and had that done, but I walked in the first time to meet Dr. Fregoso and to figure out what my plan was actually going to be, and they wanted to do another scan of my brain to make sure that they were setting up everything right. And one of the nurses, I walked in, and it was just very friendly there. The staff who greeted me at the reception desk were very, very nice, and you could tell that they had concern over them. I felt like I was the only patient in that waiting room. So I started my radiation, and the very first one that I had, treatment that I had, I stood up and I felt a little nauseated. So Dr. Fregoso put me on prednisone, a small dose, and that was very kind of him to do because it really helped with my nausea. So go through my 6 weeks of radiation, and every week I would see Dr. Fregoso in the oncology center, and he would just check in with me and see how I was doing. Every day of my radiation, I was treated with the utmost respect. Every week that I had my radiation treatment, I would go in with cookies. And they loved me there, and I loved them there, and it was just a great experience for me. I just have had such great experiences here. With my brain tumor surgery, again, I can't say enough. I don't really remember too much, but the care that I do remember there, it was wonderful. This was my home, and I was really touched by, I have my immediate family, but this is my extended family through UC Davis. I know that I am alive, I can still function properly, I can still drive a car, I still work, and I still am alive, and that's the main thing. It goes far beyond just your physician or your surgeon. It goes far beyond that too. I remember calling the accounting department, not accounting, the billing department, and I asked them, I said, I just wanted to know how much was my brain tumor surgery stay at UC Davis. And they told me, and I just thought, oh my goodness. My jaw dropped, and I just thought, how much actually went into my care? To me being here for only 4 days after my major brain tumor surgery, I had an incision in my head with 28 staples, and I just thought, I have to go back and have those removed, and it doesn't just stop with the one little thing. My care is always fabulous. When I go into the offices, whether it's my neurosurgeon's office, my radio-oncology at the cancer center, I just always feel welcome. I don't feel like I'm taking up anybody's time, that I just feel like I'm at home. This is my home. This is where I want to be, and this is my home.